Did Jason Mamoa just break out of an old-timey prison? I'm just trying to figure out those pants. All right, guys, so let's jump into this whole Panamerica release thing. So I watched the video that Harley put out. It's about 20 minutes long, and actually all of the footage that's playing on this video is not mine. It's from that video. And then I've watched some other YouTubers give their thoughts on it as well. None of us have had our hands on this bike yet. We won't until I think May was the release date, maybe. So we finally have some real specs, and I'm not going to get too deep into the specs of this bike. One of the YouTubers that I watched his review on, and he was real heavy on all the specs, like as far as lean angle, ride height, all that stuff, is riding in the Ozark. So if you're one of those people looking for all those super technical specs, I would say check out his video. I don't know him. I'm not affiliated with him in any way. It's just a plug because I thought he did a really good video, and he went over the specs, like I said. So we're not going to do that on this one. We're just going to kind of talk about the bike in general. So for some context also, literally yesterday was the first time I've ever ridden a super adventure bike. I rode a 2018 KTM. It was a 1090. A guy that I know has one. And I'd been wanting to ride it for a while anyway, just out of curiosity to see what it was about. But I thought it was important to go ahead and get some seat time on one, so I at least have something to compare it to. So I've seen plenty of the super adventure bikes sitting there. They looked super tall, super bulky. I mean, let's be honest, they're not the best looking bike ever, but I could tell just from looking at them from day one that they weren't designed to be attractive. At least I hope not, because if that was the goal, they've really missed the mark on that. And Harley in their video said the same thing, like, look, this is a function bike, and obviously aesthetics mattered to them. They didn't hide a bunch of things with a bunch of shrouds and covers like a lot of Harleys do, and there's a reason. It keeps things looking nice and clean. So I definitely get that, but they said they didn't do that on this bike. So honestly, looks-wise, I feel like as far as all the adventure bikes go, and this is not me being biased. Look, guys, I've ridden everything. So I have a motocross background. I started off on sport bikes, had a couple GSXRs, some R1s, R6s, stuff like that. Had a supermoto not long ago, a KTM, the 690 SMC. Love that bike. I appreciate bikes for what they are. So as I've said, a lot of you probably have never seen any of my other videos, but if you have, then like, I'm not biased towards Harley, and I don't have to be. I don't work for or speak for Harley Davidson Motor Company. I don't speak for Timms Harley Davidson, the company that allows me to go into the dealership and do all the reviews and test rides and stuff for you guys on all the new models. So I get to speak independently, and my honest opinion is that out of all the adventure bikes I've seen, the Harley by far looks good. Like, I don't think out of adventure bikes it looks good. I think it's a good looking motorcycle, period. I feel like a lot of the people saying it's not a good looking bike are comparing it to the traditional Harley. This is a completely different animal. But anyway, before we jump into everything, let's just look at Harley's website really quick, and we'll see what they're showing, and we'll go from there. So this is the 2021 Panamerica 1250. So this is their standard model. And like I said, looks good to me. So it comes in the River Rock Gray that we're looking at now. And it also comes in the black. Let's see if we can. Honestly, I lean way more towards the black. I like that. I think that's a good looking bike. I don't know. Yeah, there's the 360 view. The front end has a lot of the road glide feel to it, which I'm not mad at. I think that looks really good. Yeah, overall, man, I stand by my opinion as far as adventure bikes, and I see them a lot. So I do work for a motorsports dealership as well as Timms. So I see all the adventure bikes all the time. And not that they all look bad, but this one is a really, really good looking bike. So the standard model is going to start at $17,319. And then obviously when you change the color, just like with any Harley, but it only adds $250. I mean, I guess there's not a lot of paint on this thing, that front shroud and the tank. So that's about right. But usually it's $400-500, sometimes $1,000. I've seen it go as high as like $2,700 if you get the custom colors or whatever. So I like that one a lot. Let's look at now let's check out the special. Because I know it had some other colorways. So this is the 2021 Panamerica 1250 Special. Comes in 3 different colors. So let's start at the beginning. So you have the vivid black, which I mean same as the standard. Different logo though. On the other one, you know, it had the little HD on the tank, and this one has kind of the ghosted bar and shield that overlaps onto that front fairing or front shroud or whatever they're going to call it. I think I like that one. This one rather, with that outline. That looks really good. Let's see what the other options are. Gauntlet gray metallic. Don't hate that one either. Out of the black and this one, I kind of feel like I'm leaning towards the gray. And then Baja Orange Stonewashed White Pearl. Also really good. Lots of contrast with this one. And then the orange on the tank makes it pop. Honestly, I feel like all 3 are good. I'm sure you guys expected me to say that, but I'm not kidding. I think all of them look good. So this one starts at $19,999. So $20,000. $2,700 price difference at their starting points on both models. So let's jump into Harley's video that they've done. So let's jump into Harley's release video that they did, because they got a lot of comments on that. I noticed a lot of people were talking about how it's more on like selling you on the brand and talking about Harley Davidson as a whole and talking about the bike, and apparently a lot of people didn't like that. So we'll watch a few clips from that together, and we'll see what we think.
You're here by the grace of your lineage. You stand on the backs of those who came before you. The defiant ones. Outlaws of adventure, explorers of the unknown. Harley Davidson defined the motorcycle, but it was you who challenged the destination.
Very cinematic and very well produced.
Who climbed uncharted mountains, who raged through desert sand.
Jason Mamoa,
and faced the fury of ice and snow.
working with Harley now.
Discovering beauty unknown. You are the pathfinders, whose hearts beat to discover new terrain and to find yourself all over again in the emptiness of an open road. It has always been your relentless spirit for adventure that's pushed us to take.
I'm not mad at this at all. I mean, good shots of the bike.
Called adventure touring, when it's human
Very
nature to
cinematic.
seek
Lots of
limits.
production value, as you would expect from Jason Mamoa
I am the Panamerica,
being in charge of this. I think he directed this whole thing, produced it.
and I am here by the grace of my lineage.
Yep,
I am Harley
not bad.
Davidson.
I don't see the problem with that. Wait a minute. Let's pause this. Did Jason Momoa just break out of an old-timey prison? I'm just trying to figure out those pants. Oh, Okay, there's got to be a logical explanation for those pants. Like maybe these will also be some shots in the Oh Brother Where Art Thou 2, Oh Brother Where Art Thou remake. Like those are like old-timey jail pants, man. I don't understand. Maybe, I guess when you're that good looking of a dude and you're like A-list celebrity, you kind of have to, like Johnny Depp wearing all that weird stuff. Maybe you just wear weird clothes when you get that rich and successful and you're that good looking in Hollywood. I don't know. I'm sorry. I did not mean to derail this Panamerica review or steal any thunder from it, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Jason Mamoa is not wearing pants from a old-timey prison. Anyway, let's get back into the video.
So what it's about, look at this. It's been years that I've wanted to do this. I've known it's coming, and I just want to thank Harley for giving me the opportunity to direct the piece that you just saw. It means the world to me. I mean, my job is to act and direct and, filmmaking, and sometimes you're playing other characters.
Yeah, like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Showed the lineage, where it all came from, how we took those bikes, how we pushed them further, whether that be up a mountain, through the desert, just
so where it came from, as in,
and taking something that Harley created.
They used to use it for prison escape. I'm sorry. I'm just, okay, enough. No more about the pants.
This is finally here. It's the next generation. So those new pathways, and this is definitely the trailblazer right here. So thank you very much, Harley. I love you.
Interesting. So before we go any farther, I know I said no more about the pants, but leave a comment and let me know if I'm just reading too much into that or if the pants are confusing to you too. Like, I get Jason was in charge on this project, but someone should have pulled him back and said, hey man, like, those are very distracting for what we're trying to do. So maybe put on some regular pants. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about that. Okay, so we've gone over the colors. We've gone over the starting price of this bike. Let's go over a few other things. So the running order weight on the standard, they've got listed at 534 pounds. And then the running order weight on the special, they have listed at 559 pounds. I also heard in the video where they say the top speed is 135 miles per hour, and they emphasize that is also with a load on the bike. How many pounds? I don't know. They didn't say. Obviously, rider. But how much extra weight? I don't know. And they're also throwing out 150 horsepower, which I thought was interesting because typically Harley stays away from giving out that number. So I was very surprised that they threw that one out there. I also want to address something that they said in the video, which other YouTubers said. Is Harley late to the game? Harley's late to the game. There's tons of articles, there's tons of other reviews on this, and then they address it almost like a lack of confidence, to me, is how it seemed in the video, in that they make that same sentiment, and they go on to say, well, back in the day, there were no roads. It was dirt roads or people driving across farm country or whatever, and we kind of pioneered that. We started the game. I mean, maybe. Okay, so let's just give them that for the sake of arguing. Let's just say, okay, yep, you did. But let's be completely honest here in that they moved so far away from the whole off-road segment, which is fine. Like, that's fine. You in business, you start to find what works and you start to push a little more in that direction. And sometimes you get way, way, way away from the way that things started. But clearly, Harley was successful. I mean, I don't think there's any debate that it's the most desirable, most sought out motorcycle, the biggest, most well-known brand ever. People that aren't into motorcycling, you ask them about a motorcycle and they say, oh, Harley, so they've got a big name, and it's not, I get that back in the day, some of it was based around dirt, but let's be honest, like what other model, if you walk into a Harley Davidson dealership right now, there's no Panamericas, but let's just say there was. Other than that model, which bike would you buy and feel super comfortable going down like gravel roads or super sandy roads for long stretches? Just go ahead and tell me which model you would feel comfortable on. And the point of this is them saying, well, we started this whole thing and we're not late to the game. What they should have emphasized is we've done this before. But to me, it kind of came across as like, hey, we're a player in this game, which, yeah, now you are, but you weren't before. And then to answer my own question, maybe, possibly, I would do a little bit on the Fat Bob, but clearly that suspension, like even with those more aggressive off-road tires, that thing is not set up to really go off-road. It would be the most capable bike that comes to mind, but it's fine if you're late to the game. Just say, hey, we're jumping back in this game, or just don't say anything at all. Just show us what you bring to the table. And I think they've done a fantastic job on this bike. I'm just saying you don't have to justify your reason for making this bike. And that's just my opinion. Also, I thought we would break down what the special model gets you over the standard for that price difference. So like I said, this is not the most technical. We're not going to go into the suspension and all that kind of stuff, but you do get better suspension on the special model. You get a tire pressure monitor, you get skid plates, you get a center stand, you get a brush guard, you get adaptive LEDs. Both bikes have LEDs. You get adaptive LEDs on the special. For complete transparency, I have no clue what adaptive means when it comes to LEDs, but maybe they move with the bike. You get heated grips, which I guess, and you get a steering dampener, which to me is a pretty big deal, especially when you pair it with the better suspension. The special is also the only model that lowers down, and from what I've read, it's a 2-inch difference. So as you're coming up to a stop, that bike will actually lower so that you're a little more comfortable. If you've never been on or seen an adventure bike in person, they are tall, and the Panamerica is also tall. So if you're a shorter rider or shorter inseam, definitely go towards the special. That's going to be a lot easier for you to ride and deal with. A few other things I thought were worth mentioning on that bike was that, so there is an infotainment system, but everything runs off of your phone. So like your map and all that stuff is not integrated. It's connected to your phone. Also, there was some back and forth. Some things say that it does have the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto or whatever. The majority of things I read and found never said anything about it. Harley talks about their Apple CarPlay on their newer touring bikes on their regular lineup. So the fact that they don't have anything about it on their website in the Panamerica, I would lean towards this bike definitely does not have that. So like with maps or any of that kind of stuff, that's going to run through your phone. Same thing with your audio. If you've got like a wireless headset, Bluetooth to your phone, you can listen to your music or get instructions, the turn-by-turn directions through the navigation. But there are no speakers on this bike. So that was one thing to note. I've also seen people criticizing this bike based on the fuel capacity, which is 5.6 gallons. I think the BMW is as much of an 8-gallon. I think the BMW has as much as 8 gallons, I want to say. Which, yeah, I mean, I get that's significantly more, but let's be honest. There's a ton of weight you're going to add if you've got 8 gallons of fuel in that tank. But also, looks. I mean, like we talked about several times in this video already, these bikes are already not the most aesthetically pleasing. So I don't think that bigger tank is warranted. I mean, 5.6 gallons at 45 miles per gallon is pretty significant numbers. So I don't really feel like, I feel like they kind of split the difference. They could have gone a little bigger, but then you sacrifice in even in like the girth of that tank, which as real actual, motorcycle enthusiasts know, there are a lot of benefits to being able to hug that tank with your knees. And once it gets so wide, that's going to change your riding dynamic. But I will say, from my ride on that KTM I did yesterday, the looks does not equal the feel. It looks big, bulky, heavy. That was a very nimble machine. It felt super light, super agile, extremely easy to maneuver at the lower speeds. I didn't really get to go off-road with it. I could have. It's just not my bike, so I didn't want to beat on it. Not going to take it off any jumps or anything, but it was very confidence-inspiring. And at 5'11", I'm not the tallest guy, but I'm not the shortest guy. The ride height wasn't a huge deal for me. So when I did stop, if I put both feet down, I would probably be a little more on tippy toes, but I was fine just barely leaning the bike and putting one foot down. Felt super comfortable. I wouldn't have an issue. I wouldn't be concerned about that. It's not a problem for me. As far as performance, and as far as engine specs and stuff, like I said, we've gone over all that I'm going to go over, which is basically the horsepower number of 150 horsepower. But I did want to point out that you get the hydraulic self-adjusting lifters, which is very nice. So for those that don't work on your own bikes or those that aren't comfortable doing it, what that means for you is your valve clearances don't need to be checked. In motors like this, those valves can change, and with this, the self-adjusting lifters will adjust themselves. So you don't have to go in there and do it. You're not going to have to take it to the dealership and have them do it, which could be kind of annoying. 4-stroke dirt bikes, same way. You had to adjust the valves, and they could warp and bend and stuff. So it's just really nice that Harley did integrate that into this motor. So guys, I think that's going to do it for my review until I can get my hands on them. I don't have a date yet when Timms is going to get their first one. And from what I've been told by other people in the dealership, the guy that owns the dealership plans on buying the first one off the truck. I can only assume he means the first special model off the truck. So which one we get, I don't know what will be first. But even if the first one we get is a special and he does buy that one, I'm fairly confident he'll let me do a little review on it and take it out for a little bit. So as soon as I can get my hands on one, guys, rest assured that I will definitely spend some seat time on it whenever that may be. Hopefully I get it sooner than later, but until then, that's all I have on this bike for you guys. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking, if you're into it, if you're not into it, if you would buy it, if you're not a buyer for it, if it's kind of piqued your curiosity, if it's got you looking at other adventure bikes. Just let me know. You guys have been great about the back and forth banter in the comments. I really appreciate that. It's fun to engage with you guys. So until next time, guys.
Individuality and something that people hadn't done before. You kind of have to find that space in between evolution and revolution. And we had a little more freedom with Panamerica because there was nothing that came before it.